Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Mohd Adib Nur Haziq Bin Noordin and my matric number is 1051. First of all, thank you for coming and join our forum today. So before we start, I will remind that our topic that we want to discuss is challenging facing to the logistic industry due to COVID-19 pandemic. So first, let me give some introduction, which is what is logistic industry. The logistic industry can be defined as the science of obtaining, producing, and distributing material and product to the correct place and in the correct quantities. Logistic include the process of planning, implementing, and controlling procedures for the efficient and effective transportation and storage of goods. So today we will ask our speakers that have more knowledge and experience to tell us about the challenge facing to the logistic industry during the COVID-19 pandemic. So our first speaker, which is Dato Ajmal, can you continue with your first point?
Okay, thank you very much, Muhammad Adib Nur Haziq. Don't call me as Dato. I'm a very humble guy. Just call me as Muhammad Ajmal. So for today's presentation, I'm going to explain a much more detail about the challenges that logistic industries have faced during this pandemic COVID-19 all over the world, or we can say globally. So the first challenges that we have identified uh, that challenges logistic industries have faced during this pandemic COVID-19 is the geographic risk. So actually, what is geographic risk? The crisis of a traffic provides provides an opportunity to reevaluate the supply chain locations. At the start of the pandemic, when China shuttered production, some US fashion retailers said more than 70% of their stock was sourced from the country. Disruption to its industries have left electronics retailers facing delays of 10 weeks on shipments. The same is true for brand producing in other nations. It will be hard to cut or loosen ties to China. Supply chains there are highly efficient, the labor force large and skilled, the market very vast and very fast growing also. Many companies with the flexibility to move have already done so as a result of US-China trade friction that began in 2016, or because labor costs in China were rising. Pre-COVID-19, the Agility Emerging Markets Logistics Index 2020 found 70% of those with operation in China were planning to stay put, despite global trade tensions and other headwinds. The sentiment may endure after the pandemic, suggesting a logistic-led solution, smoothing supply and demand issues is the best approaches. So that's all from me. Muhammad Ajmal Bakar. I will pass the next problem or the next challenges to my group members so that they can explain much more better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dato Ajmal. And so I will go to the next speaker, which is Sumathy. Can you continue with your own idea?
Good morning, everyone. First, thank you, moderator, for giving me chance to explain my opinion. So, the challenge that I'm going to explain is air and sea limitation. The need to contain COVID-19 has led to restriction on the entry and exit of major transport corridors through land, sea, and air, as well as restricted or controlled movement within countries. With the country on lockdown, the freight industry was the first to feel the effect of the pandemic. On the typical flights, most passenger planes usually carry a relatively small percentage of cargo in their undercarriages. However, with all aircraft grounded and most flights cancelled, the market has had to deal with supply shortages. Some may argue that the plane cargo businesses has sought as traffic gets rerouted through its channels. For the longest time, the ocean roads have been used as cheaper alternative means of transport at the expenses of timely delivery. However, even they have felt the impact of the virus as most suppliers shut down their operation. With the barely anything to transport, the ever busy ports are now serving as dock- docking ports for many cargo lines. So there was some changes in the shipping and port sector due to COVID-19. They are decreased maritime trade vulnerable in ports with low trade volume due to fleet adjustment including blank sailing, delayed customs and port clearance, increases shipping waiting time and delaying cruise shift, relatively high freight rates that that could further increase if capacity continues to be constrained and demand. And also because of air and sea limitation in ports, it increased workload due to the quarantine and hill controls and increased port volume volatility, shortage of containers taking yard during conjunction, a slowdown of part economy, changes in port costs and port connectivity, storage and warehouse capacity constraints. So that's all from me. Thank you.
So next, our speakers is Naima. So you can continue.
Thank you to moderators. So the challenges logistic face is the closed border. The closure of the COVID-19 closed border has created a number of challenges for the logistic industry, which is see the substantially reduced road traffic, shortage of the food, medicine, and other commodities are amplified when the product cannot be transported easily because the transport routes have been disrupted. Some companies are scaling back the operation in the response to bottlenecks and at key border crossing. In some cases, they may go without being able to secure access to key raw material or markets for their goods and service. One recent case is the Belgian logistic company, Belgium, which was forced to close its high-speed train due to the loss of custom clearance points. The closure of the COVID-19 closed border also has a direct impact on air traffic between Hungary and Serbia, as the alternative air routes are clogged by military aircraft which cannot land at the airports such as Belgrade or Pristina. Logistic companies will have to adapt their business model in order to overcome existing bottlenecks. The transport cost must be compatible with the price policy of the both buyers and sellers. The transport costs between Germany and Serbia are often not competitive as one might expect in the view of the distance involved, but due to the one-way tariff within Serbia, sometimes even double or triple than direct shipment between the Germany and Hungary. If the company in the Serbia do not want to be dependent on the Hungarian transport system, they can choose for direct deliveries from Germany to Serbia or Bulgaria. To do so, it must check whether it is possible to deliver goods within the frequency of ABC Group flight from Germany to Belgrade. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, so our next speaker is Izzuddin. Can you or Afiq Izzuddin? Can you continue your point?
Okay, my name is Afiq Izzuddin bin Dazali. So my number is 1073. So the challenge in inventory management. So since the COVID-19 pandemic swept across the world in early 2020, many supply chains have been under higher than usual stress. As we can see, both concentrate supply and volatile demand have created major challenge in supply chain management. And this issue probably are set to go away anytime soon. The timing of COVID-19 vaccine remains uncertain as of late 2020. Thus, the ongoing movement toward online shopping as well as curbside and in-store pickup means that many organizations need to modernize their supply chains accordingly. The issue is finding the signal in the channel data nodes. The surge in demand for cleaning products as COVID-19 spread caught some organizations off guard. Shortcomings related to inventory management in particular contribute to this situation, such as the long-term trend towards reducing inventory throughout the supply chain. For example, as part of a just-in-time production model, the setting of safety stock levels to guard against normal fluctuation in demand, leaving no room for major disruption. Lack of visibility into inbound materials, demand signal from customer and channel data more broadly. So that's all from me.
Thank you, Afiq Izzuddin. And last, our speaker, Sherwin.
Thank you, moderator, for giving me a chance to explain about my point. So, my name is Sherwin. My matrix number is 1079. So, based on the challenges that logistic industries face during COVID-19, what I've found as a challenge that they face is capacity. The capacity evaporated in normal times. Ocean freight is typically around 90% of global trade volume. But the pandemic initially curtailed the supply of manufactured goods out of Asia. The ripples across the world and sent demand for goods shipped by ocean freight plummeting. Ocean carriers responded by removing shipping capacity from the market, cancelling sailing and eliminating strings where vessels call on several ports before reaching a final destination. So the air freight capacity also dropped in a large part because a significant portion of air cargo flies in the bellies of passenger flights, many of which were cancelled as passengers traffic dried up. Meanwhile, driver shortages and cross-border restrictions shrank road freight capacity in certain places and led to long backup and delays. In ocean freight is starting to bottom out and stabilize. In the meantime, a number of the answers have emerged, including which is shift of ocean cargo to air despite higher shipping rates and scramble for space. The makers of tech product laptops and headsets saw demand soar as millions around the world left office and began working from home for extended periods. And And the next one will be the use of charters for urgent, which is high value cargo that would otherwise go abroad, freighter aircraft, or in the belly of wide body passenger flights. And the third one will be the conversion of empty passenger, which is aircraft, to the passenger freighters that can carry cargo in specially packed passenger cabins in addition to belly cargo. So the next point will be the charter sharing and freight consolidation among forwarders or shippers that might normally be competitors. And the last point will be the alternative airports, which is port and trucking routes where there is extra capacity. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all the speaker for giving us some new knowledge. Now I will read the question from Twitter. Okay, I found the next question here from our audience. He asked, do you guys have strategy to solve the challenge that facing to the logistic industry? So from that question, Mr. Ajmal, can you start your answer?
All right, thank you very much, Mohd Adib Nur Haziq. And it was a very good question that was asked by our audience. So actually, I found strategy of to reduce that the logistic industries have been facing. So, based on my point geographically, I have found three ways to reduce or to solve the challenges that that the logistic industries have been faced due to the pandemic COVID-19. So, the first ways is we have to start our production to to our local country and minimize from these ways we have understand that a lot of US company have been operates their production in foreign countries, which giving them a big challenges when pandemic COVID-19 occur. So my opinion is they have to start move their production at their local country so they can minimize the risk. And then the second ways that I found is make sure your country reach the level of immunity that are required by the WHO. So when we are already reach the level of immunity that are required by the WHO, I hope that the problem that we have faced right now is can be resolved and we can continue our economic activities as usual in our country and in others country also. So the third or the last ways that I found is we have to start to work with country that we have identified can recover much more faster from the pandemic COVID-19. So what we can understand, COVID-19 is a problem that the whole world is face, but we have to identify which country can recovery much more faster so that they can reduce the impact of pandemic COVID-19 to their economic activities and to their country. All right, that's all from me. To the next strategy, I will pass it to my friend to explain much more detail to everyone. That's all from me.
Thank you, Mr. Ajmal. And I think Sumathy have her own idea. So Sumathy.
Yes, thank you for asking my suggestion. In my opinion, there are some ways to overcome air and sea limitation. Okay, although COVID-19 has weighed down on shipping demand and port traffic, wait, mic unmuted. shipping continued to play a key role in global supply chain, transporting all goods, including essential goods, quarantine supplies, daily necessaries, and industrial products. This was crucial in situations where land logistics were not functioning properly due land border closure and containment and quarantine procedures. Example how some companies overcome this problem is they keeping cargo ports operation while closing cruise ports. 14 days quarantine since the day of departure for arriving from countries that affected by the pandemic and next additional safety measures for seafarers who have traveled to affected area. Other than that, allowing cargo to be transported directly to manufacturing plants without entry into the terminal to avoid delayed unloading and shortage of storage space at seaports driven by the concern if the crew distribution is allowed. As many countries introduce restrictions to land transport and border crossing, keeping maritime transport and ports operational become crucial to presenting the real functional of international supply chain. Most airline companies have redesigned their passenger planes to act as cargo planes during this period. On the same note, more cargo planes and freight operators have now introduced services that cater to small and medium freight forwards. Shipping companies responded to the pandemic by revising their boat schedules and routes in order to comply within 14-day requirement while optimizing the new routes to minimize. One shipping company introduced a quarantine surcharge to recover the costs, while another company was expecting financial assistance from the government to account for the cost of delay to quarantine requirement. Also, due to limited number of port officials, essential goods such as pharmaceutical and COVID-19 related goods are given higher priority. So I think that's only the point I know to how to overcome air and sea limitation. Thank you.
So, Naimah, from the problem, can you give some idea to solve the problem?
Thank you for asking. As we know, closed border has affected all the logistic company as they cannot post their item to other countries. So, in my opinion, the way to overcome the closed border is to reopen the border, but with the condition of tightening the inspection system to each item and the sanitizer product so that the product is safe. That's all from me.
And Afiq Izzuddin, I think you have your own idea to solve this problem.
Thank you from the moderator. So there are some ways to manage your inventory during COVID-19. First, you must identify mission critical items. Carrying a great inventory of key products that then before may be necessary to be sure you can maintain operation. Address staff and food safety concerns and meet the needs of your customer going forward. We need to make a detailed list of mission important items and update the standard inventory level that should be maintained for each item. Your list should maintain inventory items that go directly into your product, including processing tools. But remember, cleaning and sanitation product, personal protective equipment such as masks, gloves, and gowns. Key replacement parts and maintenance products such as food grade lubricants for critical plant equipment. Inventory items you may only use in small quantities, but that crucial to your operation. The second one is assess safety stock level. Take a careful look at pricing safety stock level, box of raw material and finished product to ensure you have a plan of outage. Plan for demand to fluctuate and for stock to need rebalancing among your facilities as cir- circus- circumstance improve or COVID-19 hotspot image going forward. Last, leverage technology. What technologies can you employ to improve productivity and extend shelf life so you can hold on to your inventory longer? Think different sterilization process or storage technologies. This may require an investment you may not have been planning. But if technology improve your resilience in the face of COVID-19, flare-ups and planned shutdowns, their ROI might look different now. Consider maintenance technology such as predictive maintenance system and automation to support paperless transactions for managing inventory. So that is my tips or my way to overcome the inventory management. Thank you.
So last speaker, Sherwin, can
Uh,
you share your idea?
sure, Adib. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to give my opinion. So when we talk about capacity, we are talking about the space. So now we're gonna look at a way on how to address product shortages during COVID-19. So based on my opinion, what I would suggest is review supply contracts in light of COVID-19. So as we know, the companies should proactively review their existing supply contracts, in particular in order to assess the contractual allocation of risk under the terms of the contract as well as the governing law. So the outcome of the exercise in particular with respect to how diminishing supplies must be allocated between different customers and which party must ultimately bear the financial losses caused by COVID-19 should inform the shortage prevention and management plans. So in this context, the companies that I would suggest to take some of the actions is to identify and document the root cause of a supply problem, as this is critically important for assessing whether companies can invoke a force measure or similar defense. And the second one will be the send all required to the contract partner. And the third point will be make every reasonable effort to overcome and manage the supply problem. Otherwise, the relevant contract or governing law may exclude the enforced measure defense, and document these efforts. And the fourth one will be the establish the contractual obligations when a shortage requires allocation of existing suppliers, and again. So the last point of mine will be have open and continuous communication with the operators in the supply chain in order to be able to manage contract disputes proactively and resolve them effectively. And thank you. That's all from me.
So thank you for all the speakers giving us some ideas and giving us some new knowledge. So I hope logistic industry can survive during the COVID-19. and I hope we can stay safe, and thank you for join our forum today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.